Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by the Hard Truth Distilling Company.
To another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you from the Hard Truth Studios, hot top Rick House #1. Glad to have you. Jim Coyle with you as always, and another big show lined up. Coach Shannon will join us, and Griffith will talk about preview the Indiana-Washington game coming up this weekend. Bob Kravitz as well. Chris Denari will talk about that Pacers win last night. My goodness, I missed the very end, and I turned to someone else and said, did the Pacers come back and win that? And they did, so congratulations to them. Pecan, how are you? Hope your day's starting well. Josh Bruick will also be with us from the Hoosier Ticket Project, as they are sending a bunch of people to the game this weekend. And we'll find out how others may be able to go as well. So plenty to talk about today. Looking forward to it. Loving that new intro. Rob, the producer, doing a fantastic job getting things tidied up. Appreciate everybody jumping on with us, no matter where and how you're listening on our outlets around the state. 97.7 ESPN, the Ref, always the right call down in Evansville in the southwestern part of Indiana. Up in the region, on the voice of the region, 1230 AM, 104.7 FM WJOB, and over in Fort Wayne on Fort Wayne Sports Station, 1380 The Fan. Make sure you keep it tuned right here to these stations afterwards for continued local content. And appreciate everyone listening. And if you're following us on YouTube instead, because you're not in any of those areas, make sure you subscribe, hit that notifications toggle, and the like button as well. Appreciate you. I saw Zach Edey fouls out of his first game last night. That didn't take long. The speed of the game is something he'll have to get up to speed on, but he's just he's a big dude, man. Does not move as quickly as those pros, and so it's just going to take some acclimation. So, but bigger news for Indiana, of course, Braylon Mullins made his decision yesterday, and he will be taking his talents to UConn. No big surprise there as of here lately, but that's a recruitment that changed over the last few months, and a lot of people wondering, what does that mean for Indiana? Doesn't really change anything, to be honest with you, because they've not been greatly successful in in-state recruiting in the last 4 years either way. Trent Sisley was a very, very good get. One that they were outworked on, but they still managed to get. So does it matter? Does it truly matter to fans where guys come from? I know in the state of Indiana, we talked about this yesterday with Rick, and Rick gave a great reasoning, and I get it. If you live in the state, you want to see the top talent stay in state. But again, at the end of the day, I assure you, if your team is winning, you don't care where the guys come from that's inside of those jerseys at the end of the day. And I'm not saying missing out on Mullins is okay, missing out on Harrelson is okay. I'm just saying at the end of the day, it doesn't seem to be how Indiana's recruiting is being built anyway. They are draining the portal, which there's an argument either way there. And I don't think that that's long-term sustaining. I mean, I think you have to have a combination. And I've long said this. If you don't have a combination of recruits, guys like Trent Sisley, that will be there for multiple years, then there's no way you can have quote unquote culture, because who's gonna know what that is? Who's gonna know what it means to play at a particular place, what it means to that fan base, what those rivals mean when they play Kentucky, when they play Purdue? if everybody on your team is from everywhere else, it's a big game, but it's just another game. And that's not how it is for a lot of the fans. But curious what the fans' thoughts are to that, about not getting him. But it's not like he went to Kentucky or something. He went to UConn. The two-time defending champion, Danny Hurley, has sent multiple dudes into the NBA in the last couple of years. So it's not like he went nowhere. And I mean, I wish Braylon the best. He's a great kid, and whatever he thinks is better for him, go with it, man. So appreciate everybody hitting us up on the Andy Moore Honda hotline as we come to you from the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios. Make sure you visit Hard Truth whenever you get the chance this Sunday. A good opportunity if you're going to the game or after the game, since it's an early game. Or any day is a great day to stop by and visit them on their 325-acre property of Rolling Hills in beautiful Brown County, where you can take ATV tours, distillery tours. They have cabins for overnight stays there. Full-service restaurant, of course, live music as well. And, of course, the beautiful and lovely tasty spirits like the sour mash bourbons, the sweet mash ryes, toasted coconut rum is yum. There we go. Made that rhyme without trying. Looking forward to get Coach Shannon on today and previewing this game this weekend as the Hoosiers host the Huskies. Some interesting tidbits. I can't remember if I talked about this yesterday, but Tino Sunseri, the co-offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach for Indiana, he's got a brother named Vinny. Yo, Vinny. Yo, Tino. You think that's not a proud Italian-American family? You betcha. So I see that Coach is in the green room, so no point in waiting. We'll take a quick break, and we'll get Coach in here. And, we'll break her down, Coach. How's your day going?
It's off and running, my man.
Good. We're going to take a pause for the cause, and we'll be back to the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33.
Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. Buy a new Honda and get a 3-month break from car payments. That's right, no payments for 90 days. That includes the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue, and you get it for just 0.9% financing. Or the 2024 Honda Ridgeline Black Edition or the Honda Accord LX, both for just 1.9% financing. Get more to your door from AndyMooreHonda.com, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer and your best place for new and used vehicles. Booyah! Mm-hmm. Man, look at that dark studio he's got there.
I know. Got the ambiance rolling today.
Ambiance.
Little blue in the background.
Oh, mercy. Big weekend.
Oh.
The Friendly Tavern. What's the Friendly Tavern? I missed that.
Yeah, it's good old Jed Fish and the Pete Carroll boy and
who's the Pete Carroll boy?
He's the offensive line coach for Washington.
Who's that?
And then Belichick's son is
I know
DC.
that Steve Belichick's the DC.
I don't know what Pete's boy's name is. I want to say. Oh, let's Google me.
What?
Let's Google him. Brennan.
Oh.
Brennan Carroll is the offensive line coach there at Husky Land. He has the quote unquote offensive coordinator title, but Jed Fish calls the plays.
So he's the co-OC.
Yeah.
A lot of facets here, man. A lot of ins and outs.
Yeah.
For you big Lebowski fans.
Yeah, there's
a lot of ins and outs, a lot of facets. Hey, man, there's a beverage here.
Yeah, there's a
got about another 30 seconds, then we'll get started.
Okie dokie.
little orange background here today, huh? Little Halloween.
You know.
Yeah.
Just a little flash of color. Splash.
That's right.
Welcome back to the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios. This segment is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg.
Welcome back to the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios, Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Jim Coyle alongside, joined now by Coach Shannon Griffith. How's it going, my man?
I'm doing great, sir. How are you doing?
Cannot complain. Nobody is still no one wanting to listen to it. So we're going to roll on. Another big week on the gridiron for Indiana. Another challenge, though, is this week they will take on the Huskies without their starting quarterback. But I don't see much of a threat defensively by Washington. Looking at the stats, they don't give up a lot of yards, but they're not, they're weird. Their quarterback is one of the statistical leaders. They've got a running back who is a statistical leader, but their offense averages like 24 or 24 points a game. I think it's 24.1 points per game or something. They don't score many points.
Well, they have the same problem Nebraska did with kicking game. Their field goal kicker has not been very good inside the red zone for them this year, and it's really hurt them. And he's got, I guess you would call the yips in some respects now, because it's all mental. Now, whether or not he continues on with that young man or not, I don't know. But, coming out of a bye week, I'm sure they had some competition for that specific position. But you're correct. I mean, they've struggled in the red zone offensively some, and part of it is the difference of not having a kicker that's able to put it through the uprights when you're in that 30-yard line.
Yeah, and and talk about using Taven Jackson this week instead of the starter Curtis Rourke, who's out, of course, with his thumb that he had medically a procedure on. They call it surgery, but I guess anything is surgery if they put a scalpel and a pair of tweezers to you, probably. I'm not downplaying his injury. Trust me. I know what it's like to have ever just take your nail down too far. How bad that hurts. Losing a whole nail. It's just going to be painful. And I forget who it was that made a good point. You can't take the juice. You can't shoot that up because then you cannot feel the ball. Right. And so,
no
pun intended, but it's a touchy situation.
Right. Every quarterback that's played the position, and back in the day I did, that was the one thing you always feared, is hitting somebody's helmet or face mask, because when you follow through, your index finger and your thumb are always susceptible for those type of hits. And Curtis got it in the right spot. And that nail, what probably happened ending is probably throbbing and swelling at the same time as those nerve endings at the end the nail are very painful, especially if you've, ever stubbed the toe or had something drop on it. It's just like throws you through the roof. So I'm assuming, pure assumption, that the surgical procedure they did was to remove the nail to eliminate any other issues with it. And that is why maybe there is promise of him coming back as early as next week, is from what I'm gathering. But again, that is all hypothetical assumption on my part when it comes to what did or did not occur on Monday.
Yeah, I was a little surprised that they were going to bring him back that quickly, but it just shows you that either it's something he can deal with, because obviously they wouldn't if not, and they don't want to slow this train down. This is kind of a little, I don't even want to call it a pit stop this week, because I don't know what it's going to end up, but I in my predictions in the Hoosier.com, I know that I picked, I'll tell you right now, it hasn't come out yet, but my score was like 40-17, I think. And I put the 40 down. I'm not quite confident they'll hit that mark with Taven, but I'm not sure that they won't. And I put it down because they have not missed on the 40-point mark since opening up the season against Florida International. So, and I don't think that Washington can stop the passing and the running game. And as long as Taven Jackson stays within, they're not going to put him in bad situations. But I will say that Curtis Rourke makes a lot of passes during the course of a game that are really good. And that's going to be the telltale sign. He's going to have to go 4 quarters now and do this and not make the mistakes. And so that's going to be a huge difference. Indiana cannot turn the ball over. No one can. I know that you miss Maryland. I don't care. You ignore that. You do not turn the ball over. You know that as a coach.
Yeah, I mean, it all comes down to ball security, whether you're running or throwing. I mean, the Nebraska game was a prime example. When you're playing a top-tier team, if the takeaway battle becomes more of a stat line than anything, and Indiana had 5 against Nebraska, you cannot turn the ball over 5 times and expect to win. And especially against Indiana now, because they've averaged they have points off of turnovers, I think, is like 49 this year. That's crazy. And that's where they make people hurt. I mean, you turn it over against Indiana, you're going to pay a price. And that's the beauty of it, because that is always in the backs of the minds of the team that you're playing against about not wanting to turn it over. Taven Jackson, look, I've got a ton of confidence in Taven Jackson. I always have. He got thrown to the Wolves last year coming in as a true freshman. And you saw a freshman type of player last year, kind of like Raiola is, where they make bad decisions with the football. Raiola made 3. And so that was the one thing that held Taven back. But I thought when he came in the game on Saturday and he did 2 throws, and I was like, this is not going to stop. The train is moving because of what he did in those first 2 drives of the when he was in there. So I think there's a lot of confidence in Taven. I think the coaches have a lot of confidence in Taven. I think the team has a lot of confidence in Taven, and I think that showed on Saturday when they rallied it around him. Now, does the run game have to be a little bit better? Does the defense have to be a little bit better than they have been? Yes, they do. Does the kicking game have to be better than they have been? Yes, because maybe those drives that we're used to seeing continue may not. Does Sig go for it on 4th down with a backup quarterback in the game? Flip a coin on that question. If I'm guessing, I think he does, because I just think that's the way Sig rolls. I think he's the guy that he has a ton of confidence in the guys on the field, and he's really willing to let her roll and see what all happens. But I think Indiana has 2 solid, if not really good, Big Ten quarterbacks on their roster. and the second one's getting a chance on Saturday to show what he can do. And like you said, the one thing that makes Indiana's offense so hard to defend is their RPO game. They make defenses wrong. I mean, what they did to Tony White in Nebraska, who's no slouch as a coordinator, it didn't matter what he called because what he called was wrong. And that's the thing that makes a team like Indiana so dangerous, is because the defenses just don't know what to expect. And that's ultimately the tough part as a defense.
Yeah, and that's what I think that Washington is going to run into. And don't think that they don't have some names on that side of the ball.
Oh yeah,
on the coaching side. We were talking about it in the before we came on air, and I don't know. I don't think I mentioned this yesterday, but co-offensive coordinator for Indiana, Tino Sunseri, his brother Vinny. You got Tino and you got Vinny. Hey, the Sunseris. Yo, hey, Tino, Vinny, come in here. So a proud Italian-American family, but Vinny Sunseri is the safeties coach for Washington. He played at Alabama, and then he's been in the NFL for the last 4 years under Steve Belichick, who spent 12 years both at the for the New England Patriots. And yes, that is the same name that may sound familiar, but we're not done. Brendan Carroll is the co-offensive coordinator, and was the offensive line coach?
Yeah, offensive line coach,
which is very unique for an offensive line coach to be a co-OC. But his name is Brendan Carroll, and yes, that is the son of Pete Carroll. So a lot of what's the word I'm looking for?
Lineage.
Well, that and when you have family that give family members jobs.
Shoot.
Man,
now you got me
every
thinking.
time I try to act like I'm smart, this happens.
Well, don't worry, I'm the same boat. Nepotism.
Nepotism. Thank you very much.
Big word.
Just kidding about that. They sound. I mean, obviously, these guys, Belichick, 12 years in the NFL. That's a long time, man. And that was during the good run.
Well, he's a part of his daddy. You know, he has a firm foundation on defensive football, and he gets it from his father, who is a miraculous coach and everything that goes with it. But football ideology is in his bloodstream. And if you look at their defense, they're similar in some ways to Indiana's defense in terms of yardage and things of that magnitude. So it's a tough defense. Indiana's not going to face a slouch defense. It doesn't matter who they play. Each and every week's going to be a step bigger. And that's the way it is when you're on a roll and you become the hunted as opposed to being the hunter. I mean, you're going to run into, teams that are going to bring their A game or their best chance to bring their A game. And Jed Fish, I have a ton of respect for him and what he is as an offensive minded football coach. They beat Michigan. Now that was at Washington, but they beat Michigan in a tight ball game. The thing about Jed is that, you give a guy like him 2 weeks to study you. He's going to have some things for Indiana's defense and Coach Haynes that maybe they haven't seen, just kind of like what Northwestern did. They had not seen or prepared against little wrinkles. And then they got the quarterback. That's a good quarterback. I mean, he's a top tier power quarterback that can do things with the football. So, now, like you said, Jim, I think outside of the couple guys here and there on offense, they don't have like Indiana has, where they have about 6 or 7 receivers that can go out and get it done, or 4 different backs that can come in and change up tempos and things of that magnitude. But Jed Fish is a good enough coach to understand what the task at hand is, and he'll have them well prepared. Now, the biggest thing is them coming from the West Coast. And I'm kind of surprised about this, that the Big Ten has really done to some of these West Coast teams. When you think about playing a 12 o'clock game in Indiana, it's 9 o'clock for them. And so that has been something that has been talked about frequently with the West Coast teams traveling east and having to play noon kickoff games. And That's a 9 o'clock body count for them.
Which is a lot more difficult, in my opinion, than the teams from the East going west, because you gain that time. But yet, if we look back prior to when Penn State beats USC but Washington beat Michigan at the time before those two, so now it's two. I think it's 2 of 11 now. Only twice in 11 games in which Big Ten teams are traveling more than 2 time zones, I think, they've lost. They are like 2 out of 11. So that shows you how, and that's gaining time, much less coming the opposite way. But, you look at Oregon last week. They beat Purdue 35-0 in a very pedestrian-like game. That's probably part of that. And that was on a Friday night.
Yeah, that was a night kickoff. So what's that, 5 o'clock for them? Mentality wise, so it's not as big a deal as playing a 9 o'clock game. But I'm sure Jed Fish over 2 weeks now has had a different time clock for their bodies in terms of when they practiced and things of that magnitude, so they're prepared for when they come east, that their bodies won't be a big issue for them in terms of mindset. We'll see, but I mean, it's a huge advantage for an East Coast team to play a West Coast team at 9 a.m. They're, when the West Coast team's on a 9 a.m. mindset.
Yeah, you look at the stats for the Huskies, and while quarterback Will Howard is up there, he's number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's 5th in the conference in throwing. Now that's just by yardage. He has the 5th most yardage, but he has 162.6 quarterback rating. He has 13 touchdowns to only 2 picks. So 8.6 yards per attempt, which couple yards behind Curtis Rourke. So he's decent. It's not like he's off the. Then you look at the rushing, and Washington has, like I said, Jonah Coleman. He's 4th in the conference in rushing with 681 yards, 5 touchdowns, almost 7 yards per attempt. That's pretty damn good this far into the season. Indiana, however, has Justin Ellison, who is at 8th in the conference at 7 yards per attempt. And they also have Tyson Lawton at 16th at over 5 yards per carry, just showing the multiplicity of this offense of Indiana's. But I talked about Washington a minute ago, but they only average like 24 points a game, where Indiana's averaging double that, exactly double that. And I know that's going to be without Curtis Rourke, but there's so much of this offense that goes together. I think that they may be able to slow it down, but they're not going to stop it. And if Taven Jackson plays like he did last Saturday against Nebraska, then there should be very little to no difference.
No, and that's what I mean. I think he's going to get all the reps this past week, of course, and I'm sure Tino's done a very good job in terms of preparation and things of that magnitude. And I would assume that Taven has paid real close attention to what has occurred each and every week on a Saturday. And the only difference for Taven's going to be that he got more reps in practice, and now he's going to chance to start. Well, that is not an uncommon situation for him. Having played last year in some big games early on, the Louisville game and some others, but I just don't think that's going to be an issue. Now, my biggest concern when it comes to this Saturday or anything forward, if things don't go the way we anticipate them, is Indiana has 2 true freshmen in the background that are 1 to 2 snaps away of having to play.
Yeah,
Tyler
someone asked me
Cherry
the other day, who is the second string quarterback right now?
Well, I haven't seen them come out with one thing or the other on that, so I would imagine it's going to be one of those Tyler Cherry or Alberto Mendoza.
Alberto Mendoza.
If I had to guess, it's probably Tyler because he's been there the longest.
But didn't we see Alberto play more in, what was it, the FIU game?
Yeah, there was a game there that I think he may have had more snaps.
I
Yeah,
don't know
I don't know.
Tyler was hurt or something, but
either way, that has more of a concern for me in the old coach mindset than it does than Taven Jackson trotting on the field Saturday, because he's been there, done that. He has prepared as a starter before, but you're trying to get ready for what ifs, and you got two other quarterbacks that have hardly any snaps with the one offense, or the two offense for that matter, from the start of camp. So that would be my only concern next, is if the what ifs become a part of it. And someone was saying this week, well, maybe we'll see Taven Jackson run it more. Well, I'm not so sure that's the case, just because of what is there and what's not there. They're not going to handcuff him, of course, but I don't see him throwing in a whole lot of quarterback design runs against Washington when that's not what they've done previously. I think it's the same apparatus that they'll run with the RPOs and give a quarterback a two-way go and, go from there. But I have all the confidence in the world, and everybody else should, with Taven Jackson running out on the field on Saturday. And if he's ready to go, like you said, Jim, and he shows what he did last week, leading them to 28 points in the second half, I don't see any reason why he can't run the offense as efficient as maybe Curtis has done previously up to this point.
I agree with you, man. I appreciate you. Look forward to Saturday. Make sure you tune in for the Hard Truth Distilling Company Indiana football postgame show. This will be coming to you as soon as coach's pressers end, and he'll probably have a lot of media he's got to do first. But
yeah, he's got a couple more on campus this week. So
make sure you are following at Hoosier Tailgate as well. Coach Griff, appreciate you, brother. We'll see you on Saturday.
Absolutely, and I'll be on tonight 7:30 live doing a breakdown scouting report of Washington Huskies. We'll see you.
There you go. We've got lots more coming up here from the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios. The man Bob Kravitz from bobkravitz.com joins us next. We're back with more right after this.
This segment is brought to you by RE/MAX Advanced Realty, Indy Homes Pro Teams by Cheryl Sizemore.
Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth's Sour Mash Bourbons, Sweet Mash, and Hard Road Ryes, as well as their Cinnamon Vodka and the always popular Toasted Coconut Rum, Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, you can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the Hard Truth. Hard Truth products are available across Indiana, as well as many other states. So, no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the Hard Truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive. Good day, Robert.
Good day. How are you, buddy?
If I was any better, I'd be Bob Kravitz.
Yeah, well, we can always hope.
There's always dream. Always hope.
Yeah. It's going to be fun this week. I'm going to go down actually Friday. They're going to make some of the game day guys available.
Yeah, I haven't gotten that, or I haven't seen that email yet, but they did that with Fox, and that was pretty good.
Yeah, so I'm going to head on down there Friday and do something large off the game, and yeah.
All right, we'll have to get together Friday evening and confer.
Maybe we'll do that.
Confer. Yes. Confer. Man, how about this? The golf weather has been spectacular. But but you know what I've done?
What?
I've sat my butt in this chair and worked every day, and it just drives me insane.
Well, this is my favorite time of the year to golf.
Gee whiz. Why wouldn't it be? It's beautiful out there.
It's 70 degrees. The leaves are changing. It's just incredible. Excuse me one sec. We got a minute, right?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. Yep. Yeah, there's the quarterfinal. Well, I didn't know that they had been determined to be those particular 4, but if that is the case, that is I know that they're a part of that. And then you have the let's see. Wow. Yeah, you got to reach the second weekend for that because the first weekend are on site.
Oh.
Would it? It's going to be weird because you can miss the playoffs this year, especially in the Big Ten, and wind up in an outstanding bowl game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whoever the 4th place team in the Big Ten winds up being is going to be in a big time bowl game. But then again, the big time bowl games are part of the CFP, though.
Right. Right. This is true.
We got about 30 seconds.
Welcome back to the Hard Truth Distilling Company Studios. This segment is brought to you by the Rusty Gator.
Welcome back to the Hard Truth Distilling Company Studios on this Thursday. Bob Kravitz from bobkravitz.com joins me now. Jim Coyle with you. And don't forget about our good friends down at the Rusty Gator in Bedford, where oceanic flavors meet Southern charm. Robert, welcome aboard. I hope you have had a great week. I'm pretty sure you have, looking at the weather.
Oh my gosh, yes. I've gotten out and played twice this week, which tells you how hard I'm working. But it is just fat. This is my favorite time of the year, man. Leaves are changing. The weather's beautiful. Can't beat it.
Absolutely. Well, you get to do that. You're one of the deans of the media for the state for certain. Yeah, you get to do that.
Yeah, why
so, exactly. Well, just do it. Just do it. All right.
Me?
Huh?
What are they going to do? Fire me?
Exactly. But you're like me. I work for an a-hole, and but he's the only guy that'll have me probably. And that's myself.
I'm the same way. I work for a complete jerk off, and I have conversations with them all the time. And usually I win the argument and I go play golf.
That's always a winner. Plenty to little bits to jump on here. First off, of course, Braylon Mullins yesterday deciding to go to Storrs, Connecticut and play for Danny Hurley at UConn, the 2-time defending national champion. You cannot begrudge him going there. There's more to it than them winning the two back-to-back national titles. He has sent Danny Hurley rather, has sent a lot of guys into the league. Guards, the kind of roles that Braylon Mullins is playing. It's been different guys. It's not just two or and so I think that he saw something there. I'm guessing. I was not in on the conversation, but regardless, it is another ding in the straight up recruiting for Indiana and Mike Woodson. At the end of the day, I said, if you win, it doesn't matter.
It does.
Because winning cures all. But if you're not winning and you're not getting the in-state recruits, the big-time boys, there's going to be some problems.
Well, the way I look at it, you had the 3 big guys, right? You had Sisley, Harrelson, and Mullins, with hundreds and hundreds of schools recruiting these guys. IU is down to the final 3 for all of them, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And they got one of the 3. They got Sisley. So to me, it's just
they got outworked.
What's that?
They got outworked on 3-1 on Sisley by Matt Painter. but it didn't matter in the end.
Right.
Yeah. So,
But but bottom line is they got them. So, yeah, it's a shot. It's not good for IU, obviously, but I think they're going to be a pretty good team anyway. And with the transfer portal and their NIL, the money they have to spend, I think they're going to be just fine, whether they get this kid or not.
yeah, that's not going to affect their season. I don't think it's going to affect the following season per se, but that also gets into the Indiana has always been was always able to be a national power, but yet by doing it with players from the region.
Right.
Includes any Indiana, Illinois, Ohio. That was Bob Knight's mantra and his way. And it kind of reminds me on Cignetti in a way. He gets the players he wants, not necessarily the highest rated players. What's Cignetti going to be like when he gets these 4 and 5 stars? And they are coming.
They are coming. They were saying on the broadcast the other day, they had a bunch of 4-star guys at the game on Saturday against who the hell they just
Nebraska.
beat? Nebraska. Full house, place going crazy. You think that didn't have some impact on a bunch of young, impressionable players? So, I mean, if he continues to win, and I fully suspect that he will, once he starts getting those 4 stars in here, it's a whole new ball game.
I think that we might see something that I don't recall ever really seeing. Byron Baldwin was committed to Indiana, really good defensive back, 4-star defensive back. He then after after the trip to Colorado, but either way, he decommitted. Said Indiana's still in the picture, like they always say.
Right.
But that's always whatever. But for Byron Baldwin, he was one that got that game. And
is that right?
That opened his eyes to seeing what that defense did. The 3 picks they had that day, the wide open offense and the style that they're playing in, and against the level of quarterbacks. So then you had Tyrone Burgess, who is an Indianapolis kid who is committed to Louisville, which I think Louisville just got to him first, but I expect to see him.
Okay.
I would be surprised for him not to flip. He skipped the Louisville-Miami game in which Louisville lost to come to the Indiana-Nebraska game.
Okay.
So he made a wise decision as well. But with right now, there are 44 players on this team that had 0 stars coming out of high school, Bob.
I know.
If they fill this roster with 4 and not going to fill it, but you add those types of components in, it's amazing to think that this program could get better. They're 7-0 right now, looking at 8-0 and probably 9 and 10-0 before they face Ohio State. That's just, again, more mind-boggling thoughts for Indiana football fans to have.
And the last 2 weeks have been such a great advertisement for Indiana football.
Oh.
I mean, I watched part of the Fox pregame show, which, by the way, doesn't hold a candle to ESPN's Game Day, but
no, that's the granddaddy of them all.
That's the one that matters. But to see the campus jacked up the way it is, if you're a kid out there and you're looking at the pregame show and you're looking at IU rolling Nebraska and the excitement around the program, it's just gonna feed on itself. The momentum feeds on itself, and if you're a recruit, why wouldn't you want to come to Indiana? All those pretty girls, and you got the Kilroys and upstairs and Knicks and a football program that the basketball team can be proud of. It's awesome, man. I'm really enjoying the hell out of it.
Like Gus Johnson said, IU, America, they got a football team now, and they can play.
Yeah,
it was a great call that was. That was a damn good call.
It was pretty cool listening. Unfortunately, my wife got ill on Saturday morning, and I wasn't feeling so good myself, so I didn't want anybody to catch. So I watched it on TV just to be on the safe side. And yeah, what a great it was just a postcard, and the weather's supposed to be fabulous on Saturday. McAfee is going to be doing the Hoosiers all day long. It'll be great fun.
That's
And
one of the
have
things
they
I
asked
love.
you to kick the field goal yet, by the way?
I know, but I'm going to have to start stretching today.
Yeah,
I should have started stretching last week.
I actually hurt a muscle in my gluteal area from bowling, so I don't think I'll be kicking any field goals.
I wonder where they're going to put that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's on the south lawn, correct?
Yeah, well, it's going to be basically on the same exact footprint as the Fox stage was set up, which just goes straight out from the stadium and butts right up to 17th Street.
Okay.
Is where the back of the stadium was, or back of the stage was, facing the stadium with the students in between there. But I'm like, okay, where are they going to put that damn football for the kick?
Yeah.
There's not a level spot I can think of unless I don't know where in the world they're going to put that, but they'll find a place. Don't worry.
Oh yeah. I mean, what they've done with that show, and it'll be all right. Here's my question: since IU doesn't really have a mascot,
what is Lee Corso going to put on his head?
What is Lee Corso going to do? Now,
I suggested he put a bison on his head.
I suggest that he goes off camera and puts on the Indiana sweater that he wore when he was hired at IU back in 1970, whatever the hell it was.
You know what? He very well may. That is a good call, and you may be prophesizing something. I would not be surprised that if he's picking Indiana first of all. First of all, they're going to win, but secondly, there's no way he would not. They're honoring the 1979 Holiday Bowl winners. First bowl win ever for Indiana. Only that was the first bowl win, I believe. That Holiday Bowl.
Yeah, I remember it very well.
So
I remember it very well.
They're
and
celebrating that. Lee Corso, of course, was the coach of that team. So that's going to be a cool scene. And what a great, I hate to call it a send-off, but one would imagine this could be Lee Corso's last season on
I would imagine so. You know what I love about that show? I don't know Kirk Herbstreit from Adam. I've always admired his work, but the way he takes care of Coach Corso, who clearly struggles to make his points, and God bless him, he's an older gentleman who's been through some health issues, but it'll be great to see Coach Corso. He was so kind and generous with me as a student reporter. I was there from 78 to 82. So I was there for the Lee years as well as Bob Knight. And the way that Lee treated me and all the other student reporters was absolutely fabulous. What a sweet, sweet man he is.
Yeah, just a funny dude, man. I've told someone the other day, that double-decker bus that he brought down. Well, that thing is out in Spencer someplace, and somebody on here said, oh yeah, they knew where it was, but it's still around. I doubt that it runs, because if you think about it, my God, that's how long? That's 44 years ago. So
yeah,
Lord knows, first of all, where that thing came from.
It's probably with the chair that Bobby threw.
That, you know what? I guarantee you that chair was just lost to time.
I guarantee it was.
It went back into the stack is all it did. I promise you, they took those chairs up that night, and like they do every night, and because it was just a plastic chair, nothing special about it. It got put into the rotation, and it is kind of weird, but that double-decker bus, there it is for you, Bob. You can see it on the Go Big Red on the back. It was a double-decker bus. Lee Corso on the back. I'm not sure who he's with, but he's riding that thing in. And I think that's to a game.
It might be. That wasn't his first game, was it?
I'm not positive, but the players are dressed in game uniforms. So
that's wild. That's too wild.
Now, I wonder if they're going to be wearing all red because it's a red out.
Right.
But I wonder, don't forget, if you're going to the game against Washington, it's a red out. So everyone is wearing the red. Otherwise, I would wonder if they're going to wear the single eye on the helmet like they did on those helmets.
Cool. I thought those are clean, as the kids like to say. Yeah, I thought those are. Yeah, I remember when they wore that. Weren't they wearing the block eye during the Mallory years?
Yes, they did.
Yeah, so
had to get away from that stupid oval that was never approved. I don't know how that thing was never approved to my knowledge.
Who brought the oval? Was that Weiss?
Cam Cameron.
Ooh, no.
I mean that thing, and some people still use that. Not IU, but because that should have never been allowed.
Yeah.
It should not have been. It was not approved, I think, and so there's a whole bunch of stuff going on there. But yeah, looking forward to this weekend. It's going to be another big weekend for Indiana. If they get to 8-0, they're already the darlings of the college football world. You cannot look any place without seeing something on Indiana football, on Kurt Cignetti. That is just, every recruit is seeing that. The fans are seeing that. The games are sold out for the rest of the season. The excitement is great and building. And Bob, I've said it all year. I think this team winds up in the CFP.
Wouldn't that be something?
I think at worst they go 11-1, and yeah. I don't doubt that they can go to Ohio State and they can win. I'm not saying they're going to. I do not doubt that they can do it. Their defense is as good as anybody's. Their offense is better than everybody's.
Yeah.
So I give them a hell of a shot to do it.
That would be awesome. I remember back in, this was, who is Earl Bruce, the darkest day in the history of Ohio State when Indiana, and I remember because I was working for a newspaper in Cleveland and, being an IU grad, I guaranteed in the paper that IU would go into Ohio State and kick their ass.
Look at you.
And I said I would do something if they lost. I don't remember what it was. And they went in there and they kicked their ass. And so that was a good call. I mean, Earl Bruce, it was the darkest day in the history of Ohio State football, losing to Indiana.
Yeah, the funny thing is, though, that was the year before they got their crap kicked out of them 41-10 or whatever.
Yeah.
So Indiana beat them back-to-back years.
Back-to-back years, yeah.
Got a new year and a game against the Washington Huskies. Indiana playing the first of two of last year's national championship participants as they play Washington this week, Michigan in 2 weeks. So that's unique as well.
Yeah.
But we'll see you out there on Saturday. Make sure you are locking in to bobkravitz.com.
Sounds like a plan, my friend. Thank you.
All right. Appreciate you. We've got more coming up from the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios. We'll be back with it. Brought to you by the Fresh Fork. Make sure you use radio code 20. Get $20 off your first order to the Fresh Fork. Back with more right after this.
This segment is brought to you by the Fresh Fork in Bloomington.
Indiana Sports Beat Radio is brought to you by the fine
Thanks,
folks
buddy.
at the Hard Truth Distilling Company, including Big Woods Restaurants and Quaffon Beers. You can find their great products in your area. If not, ask for Hard Truth. Their great products like their Hard Road Rye, Sweet Mash Bourbon, or the Toasted Coconut Rum. Ask for the Hard Truth. Man, I should have muted him. I went too late. Oh, yeah. Did you see that last text?
Yeah.
You could always just put 3 segments together if you wanted to as well for Fort Wayne, and that's how they prefer it actually. But yeah, I've got to be careful.
They don't want for Fort Wayne. They don't want commercial breaks in there.
No. What I don't want AMH in.
Oh no, yeah, I know that. Yeah.
Yeah, no. That's just it. Nope, that's it.
Okay. So
that's what I'm saying. If you, because it played in that one, I'm like, hey, you know what? You can send them, 3 different segments if you wanted to or whatever. But like Josh that's coming up on the show today. He's coming on at 9:50, and now Chris Denari is coming on at 10:10.
Okay.
Switching around. But Josh is from the Fort Wayne area. If we could
So put his in there. Okay.
If we could include him, it would be cool. But obviously Bob Kravitz as well. And Shannon Griffith is also from the Fort Wayne area.
Okay.
So that works out good that way. What do you think of the new intro?
I like it. I was showing it to people at my work, and my job liked it because I was making it there.
Yeah, me too. I'm ready to go. I'm like, yeah.
I sent it to my buddy. One of my really good buddies is a huge UFC guy. So when he heard Bruce Buffer's voice in there, he texted me. He was like, "Dude, no way."
Yeah,
He's like, "It's sick, man."
That's what I've had that in my head for. It's time.
It's crazy. I mean, I love the story between him and Michael. How they didn't even know they were brothers.
I did not. Whoa! I don't know this. What?
So they didn't know they were brothers. Like they didn't grow up together. But
all right, we've got an open segment, so we're going to talk about that.
Yeah, they reconnected.
This segment is actually open. And I tell you what, whenever you get the chance, if you could just drop, or let me see, you may have already done that. If you could just drop in some, a Flair clip, Savage clip, or just put like a couple of those together, and we can just use those as like bumps too. Right? You know, I can hit them as well. I can.
I'm gonna.
And if they're singular, I'll
coming back.
And then if they're singular, I can use them during the show. If someone says something, I'm like, oh yeah. But I've got this stupid Rodecaster Pro too, and I cannot get it figured out to work to do all that because it does supposed to do all that stuff as well.
Yeah, you're able to get it. It is a little complicated, I would say. It took me a while to figure it out, so I could just imagine trying to do it like.
Oh gosh, it's been heck.
What's the thing? I don't even know when I added these if I trim these down or not when I put them in. So that's not very fun. All right.
Yeah, we get you can let's see. No.
Well, here, I'll try this one because I know this one's short. So here, I'm going to bring it back, then I'm going to play one of those audios of it.
Welcome back to the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios. This segment is brought to you by Free Think Apparel.
Hey, look, I'm super fired up about this opportunity. I'm never taking a back seat to anybody and don't plan on starting now. Purdue sucks. Michigan in the hottest state.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Thursday. Jim Boyle coming to you from the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios. Don't forget, visit Hard Truth over in Nashville in beautiful Brown County. They have 325 acres of absolutely gorgeous rolling hills, ATV tours, distillery tours. They have cabins you can stay overnight, just live music, and the great spirits of Hard Truth, all made right here in Indiana. That is truly it's the biggest and best craft distillery around in this area. So make sure you get a chance to stop in and tell them you heard about them on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Appreciate that very much. we're just talking in the break with Rob, and Rob, you were talking about, we've got a new intro, which is awesome. Thank you, Rob. But I asked for some things in it, but the Buffer Boys, they're just some of the greats, and you were just telling a story that I was not aware of.
Yeah, so they're actually half brothers. It was I just looked it up while we were here to get exact dates, but in 1989, Bruce was introduced to his half brother Michael when their birth father contacted Michael after seeing him on TV, and then in the mid 90s, Bruce became Michael's agent and manager, and then they've worked together pretty much ever since, and now actually have a relationship. But their entire life before then, they never knew that they were related, never knew that they were brothers, and it's crazy that they actually pursued the same profession. I mean, it's crazy how things work.
Yeah, so they both were announcers prior to meeting each other?
Yes.
That is just absolutely off the wall crazy.
Yeah, they both
and
the same thing.
both
So I guess,
very, very different styles.
yeah, I mean, of course, we know Michael has the classic.
Let's get ready to rumble.
Just
That's his tagline.
fantastic. I mean, like, just thinking about that, that's the history of boxing right there. And then you go to Bruce, which, I mean, Bruce, I love, his It's Time. It's amazing because it also, I think it goes with the different crafts of what they're covering, what they're, the ring announcers for. UFC's about just,
dude, he gets into it. Bruce, he's approaching the combatants, fighting out of the red corner, and he just starts, he gets, and they're kind of into it. So he brings the juice, which is what you want, no matter what. You want that excitement.
I know there was one time, Bruce Buffer, he actually tore his ACL while announcing the beginning of the match, because he does that little jump when he says it's time. He jumped, came down on his leg, and tore his ACL. I think he's got to be the only guy ever to do something like that.
That is funny. Heath asking, is it confirmed Judah Lewis is visiting for the Washington game? No, I have not. I've not gotten confirmation on that. I would expect that to be the case because his high school team is off this week. I'm assuming they are going into the playoffs next week, but this is an open Saturday. I'm sure that USC is probably trying to get him as well, but I would think that where is USC playing this week? But I would think that an opportunity to come to Indiana and see College GameDay is probably higher on the docket. USC at home as well, but it's with Rutgers. Yeah, we'll see. They tried to get him in last week, could not get the flight to work out. This week is a lot easier on the schedule. So I'm just assuming that's going to happen. I'm waiting for confirmation, but Jason said he isn't coming. What do you have that backs that up? Not doubting you, just so we'll see. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. But looking forward to this weekend, all the excitement that's going on. There's all kinds of activity. Of course, College GameDay is in town, and so that's going to make a world of difference. As big as Fox Big Noon Kickoff was, that's only been around for, 5 years, maybe? College GameDay has been an institution for 37 years. There is a big attachment with Indiana. There's a lot of Indiana people at ESPN. You've got Lee Corso, who is the most beloved figure on that dais, who was the former coach here and that will be honored with his 79 Holiday Bowl winning team that knocked off BYU and upset them. So you've got that going for you, which is nice. So we'll look forward to that. And we've got a media availability with Mike Woodson, of course, tomorrow, as we'll have it for you after in the afternoon there for everyone listening. Not live on here, but we'll post that on the YouTube channel, of course. So that's why you need to be subscribed and hit that likes and notifications toggle so you get all of that information. In addition to additional things like we expect to have interviews this weekend with the cast from College GameDay. So all of that will be up as well. So you don't want to miss out on any of that. And then, of course, on Saturday, the Hard Truth Distilling Company's Indiana football postgame show with myself and Coach Griffith, and we'll always try to get a special guest, see if we can scare up this week, and hopefully that goes forward. But, man, it is just a big weekend. Other games on the docket for the Big Ten this week. That's just the stats, rather. But, oh, man, thought I had that pulled up. But we're getting down to where the games are starting to matter. One of the bigger games that of this weekend in the conference has to be Wisconsin hosting Penn State. Penn State, one of the teams that is right now locked down a playoff spot. They are undefeated. They have what are they, number 3 in the AP poll? Ranked pretty high. Lee. Wisconsin has scored like 126 points in their last 3 games while giving up only 16. Penn State doesn't score a lot of points. Their offense is not that good. Their defense is pretty stout. Wisconsin could give them hell. It's an 80,000 seat stadium. They're going to get a little of their own medicine, Penn State is. And Luke Fickell's team is playing much better now than they were. If they could, boy, that would be a great upset in Indiana's favor. You want to see them get beat. And then Penn State has to turn around and play Ohio State. And so if Penn State if they were to take a loss and then heading into that game with Ohio State, both of those teams with a loss or a loss, somebody's going to have 2 losses coming out of that. And that makes it much better for Indiana. Even if they were to go to Ohio State and lose, I still think an 11-1 Indiana team out of the Big Ten is going to be fine over a 10-2 Ohio State team or a 10-2 Penn State team. We shall see. Oregon, they have got a manageable schedule. They have Illinois they're hosting this weekend. Illinois, they've got a good offense and a good defense. It's just not good enough. They're good. I mean, they are a really good team, but they're not a great team. And I theoretically, I saw someone post yesterday, you could have if Indiana, wins out, except for Ohio State, goes 8-1 in the conference, 11-1 overall. Let's see, if Oregon were to get upset by Illinois, if Wisconsin were to upset Penn State, there's all these scenarios. Actually, you could have 5 different teams in the Big Ten that are 8-1 in the conference and 11-1 overall. But that would take an upset by Illinois at Oregon. I don't see that one coming. Wisconsin, like I said, I don't count the Badgers out, man. They've been rolling. I think they're are they 4-2 now? But they're a team that is playing very good ball. So there's someone not on Indiana's schedule, luckily for the Hoosiers. They don't have to go up there this year. But yeah, it's going to be we're entering on the last side of the season. Indiana still with 5 games remaining. They're going to be favored in all of them, as I told you a long time ago, save for the Ohio State game. But I'm curious when we get there what that spread's going to be like. I'm a little surprised that the spread for this week's game is only 6.5 points. Indiana continues not to get the respect with offense. They're averaging 48 points per game. I know there's a quarterback change this week, but 6.5 points at home, I'm a little surprised. We'll see. Vegas usually So, Jason, are you saying that On3 reported that Juju will not be in Bloomington? I have not seen that yet, if that is the case. But either way, it doesn't matter. Indiana's recruiting is going to be off the charts. Like I said, Cignetti is doing what he's doing right now. Half of his roster had 0 stars coming out of high school. So I don't think it matters. Yeah, I mean, if you can get the great quarterbacks, great. But then you wonder, when you start dealing with that level of talent, are you going to start dealing with elitism inside of those guys? I think that Ohio State has to deal with that. It's great having talent, but when does it start to seep into the locker room? We've got to take a break. Up next, Josh Bruick will join us from the Hoosier Ticket Project, giving away or making sure that over 400 people get to go to the game this weekend. We'll look forward to that and talk about that when we come back to the Hard Truth Distilling Company Studios, brought to you by Boost Fundraising. If you need a fundraiser for your local community, ball teams, whatever the case may be, just go to boostfundraising.com. We're back with more from the Hard Truth Studios right after this.
This segment is brought to you by Boost Fundraising.
Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. Buy a new Honda and get a 3-month break from car payments. That's right, no payments for 90 days. That includes the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue, and you get it for just 0.9% financing. Or the 2024 Honda Ridgeline Black Edition or the Honda Accord LX, both for just 1.9% financing. Get more to your door from AndyMooreHonda.com, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer and your best place for new and used vehicles. Oh, yeah, I didn't know we were back on that last one.
Oh, yeah, I was, I just wanted to test it out, see how it
Well,
sounded.
that's kind of what I thought you were doing. Then I was like, but are we back?
Yeah. Yeah, I saw your text, and then I hit the music, and I was like, all right, yeah, got the cue. I didn't realize
I just didn't know if we were or not. I didn't care.
Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna, I might have to head out during this one, in between it.
In between the segments.
Yeah.
So what do you need me to do then?
Pretty much. I mean, the only ones I haven't used yet, I have it up here. Ugly Grouper, and Hoosier Hank. Those are the only 2 left that have to be used.
Oh yeah.
So pretty much after that, everything else is all good then.
Okay, but I got you. Do I need to play any commercials in the?
No, because I have all those saved here, so I could just add those to mine.
Beautiful. Hello, Mr. Denari.
Hey there, how are you?
I'm just peachy, brother.
My voice is a little thin, but it'll be all right by tomorrow.
First game out, man. I had to stretch it.
Well, yeah, plus I think I got sick from my grandson.
Oh, man. And you had a late night.
Yeah. So I'm feeling all right. I mean, I've had a cold the last like two plus days. So that October cold.
Well, that was a hell of a comeback last night.
Yeah, we needed that.
They kept coming and they kept fading. They kept coming and then they kept fading. And they kept coming and they kept fading. And I'm like, and then they came back and won. I'm like, daggone.
Yeah, I mean, Detroit's going to be better. They've added some veterans that will help them, with Ivy and Cunningham. I mean, they've got 3 pretty good young players in Duran, Cunningham, and Ivy, and then they added some guys with, experience. So I think they'll be a lot better than they were last year. They're not a playoff team, but they'll be better.
Yeah, they got Tobias Harris now too, right?
Yeah, Yeah, they have Harris, Hardaway, and Malik Beasley, who played for the Bucks last year.
Yeah, it's nice to get veterans when your average age is like 22 years old.
Right, right. I mean, it's funny. The Pacers ended up shooting 51% for the game. And I mean, first half, they were right around 40.
Huh.
And Halliburton was 6 of 18.
Yeah, what do you finish like? We have 15 and like 5, 15 and 6.
Yeah, 15, 5, and 4. He had 3 steals, 2 blocks. It was one of his, my estimation, one of his better defensive games, and that's something that he wants to improve on. I thought he did a pretty good job defensively, really.
Yeah, I'm sure this summer out in Paris helped him with that. We're having to practice with all those guys defensively.
Yeah, no question.
All right, we got about 15 seconds.
Have you met Rob, our producer?
I have not. Nice to meet you, Rob.
Nice to meet you, Chris.
I'm in Soho right now. That's where I am in New York City.
Oh, very nice.
Welcome back to the Hard Truth Distilling Company Studios. This segment is brought to you by The Ugly Grouper.
Welcome back to the Hard Truth Distilling Company Studios on this Thursday. Chris Denari, the voice of the Pacers, joins us now from Soho, New York, after a late night win in Detroit by the Pacers, a comeback win, Chris, in which, man, they trailed and would climb back into the game, and then they would fall back, and that was a back and forth deal. I just thought they were going to run out of steam, and then, no, they just put their foot down and got over the finish line there and got the win and snuck out of Detroit with one.
Yeah, they want to be better defensively, to improve on what they did last year. And ironically, Jim, that's really how they won the game last night. You're right. Their backs were to the wall most of the night. They trailed by as many as 12. But I thought a really critical stretch of the game was they took the lead. It was 101-100. They got a coach's challenge overturned. So Rick Carlisle won the challenge. The offensive foul on Tobias Harris gave the Pacers the ball with a 1-point lead. And Indiana had 5 or 6 straight possessions where they didn't score. And a lot of times that would be problematic. Well, on the other end of the floor, the Pacers got 5 or 6 consecutive stops, and they never gave up that lead late. I thought that was really critical. So, yeah, good way to start the season. This is a Detroit team. Again, they only won 14 games last year, but I believe they'll be much improved because they've got 3 really good young players. Jaden Ivey, I think fans all know about him. Cade Cunningham, and then Jalen Duren is a big center. Played at Memphis. He's only 20 years old. This is his 3rd NBA season. So this guy's very young. But then they added 3 veterans, all who are coming in off playoff runs. Tobias Harris, Malik Beasley, Tim Hardaway Jr. played in Dallas. So I do think they will be a better team.
Playoffs? Don't talk
about anytime you go on the road to start the year, it's going to be tough. So just a good way to get out of Detroit with the win.
Yeah, and that has to be I hate to think of Detroit being a mental boost, but to be able to win the way they did, not playing probably their greatest overall, but on the road, opening up, it's a win to build off of, especially for a young team who's still learning how to do these kind of things, how to put your throat on your opponents or put your foot on their throat and keep it there. So it's still a learning process.
Yeah, no question. And I think the good news is, Jim, they shot right around 42% in the first half, but they ended the game at 51%. And that's with Tyrese Halliburton going 6 of 18 from the field and 1 of 9 from 3. Now, Tyrese hit the big shot. Pacers had a 3-point lead late inside the final 30 seconds, and he hit the shot that, clinched the win. And then you flip it, Detroit shot just 20%. 5 of 20. They were 25% in the fourth quarter. So I thought that was really key. That defense, was really strong in the fourth quarter, and that was key. They got really good performances. Miles Turner was terrific last night. He had 20 points, 9 rebounds, 4 blocks, and had a big third quarter. And then Benedict Mathurin, he had 15 of his 19 points in the fourth quarter, hit some big threes, made some big defensive plays. And remember, he's a guy that did not complete the season last year, had the shoulder surgery, did not play in the playoffs. So that I thought that was a big night for him as well. So, a lot of positives, a lot of guys played well, but the Pacers know they can play better, but they still were able to go on the road and get a win.
Yeah, and for this to come early in the season, like I said, it's good because they're just going to continue to build on this. But I would also think that they would know that they have a target on their back.
Yeah.
They're not as much the hunter as the hunted by a lot of the other teams, maybe not so much by, Boston and Minneapolis or Milwaukee and the Knicks, but there are a lot of other teams behind them that are chasing the Pacers.
I think that's a great point, Jim. And I talked to a number of the players this week about that when they walk into a building, they are looked at differently, especially for those teams that are behind you. They see what the Pacers did last year and say, hey, we'd like to do that. We know this is a good team. So you're right. They're going to walk into all NBA buildings this year, and teams look at them differently because of the success that they had. They raise their level of play because they feel they have to against you. You're going to get a lot of teams' best shots. That's not to say you didn't last year, but, this is a franchise that 3 years ago won 25 games, then won 35 games, and now has won 47 games. So you're definitely looked at differently, not just by the media, but by those teams that you're playing.
Yeah, and this Pacer team, what did you see from them in that win? What did they show you? What are your expectations? Because now, being in Soho, that means the Knicks are up next on the docket, and the Celtics just obliterated them in their first game out, but they hit 29 3-pointers to tie an NBA record.
Yeah, I think what I learned last night was the resiliency that even when things look dire, especially in that fourth quarter, when, as you said, the Pacers would make a run, the Pistons would answer. Pacers would make a run, take a little lead, Pistons would answer. And the ability of the Pacers to take that final punch and then win the game, I think, was big. And you're right. New York, they got punked on Tuesday night. It was ring night, banner night, the 18th championship banner for Boston. New York has made the big trade to get Karl Anthony Towns. They're going to be hungry in their home opener tomorrow night at Madison Square Garden. And also a lot of those guys remember what happened in Game 7 last May when the Pacers won in the Eastern Conference semifinals to move on to the finals. So, it's going to be a phenomenal night tomorrow night. But I think the Pacers feel a whole lot better going into that game off of a win than if they would have stubbed their toe in Detroit.
Absolutely. And there's going to be a lot of excitement this year at Gainbridge Fieldhouse for games that the Pacers play, whether it's against the Grizzlies when Zach Edey comes in, Miami with Kel'el Ware and Thomas Bryant on that roster. I don't know who all they play, but do you play everybody in the NBA?
Yeah, we play at least Western Conference teams twice. We play Miami 3 times. And in fact, I think we have them in a back-to-back at home at Gainbridge Fieldhouse this year. So Miami will be in 2 consecutive games sometime during the season.
Yeah, that's February 5th or November 15th and November 17th on a Friday and a Sunday.
Yeah.
So you get the weekend, and Kel'el Ware and Thomas Bryant on that roster, former Hoosier player. So that's going to be interesting. And then you've still got Eric Gordon out there playing in his 17th season, I believe, now with
he's with Philadelphia.
Philadelphia, that's right.
Yeah, we'll see him on Sunday.
So, man, a homecoming. So lots of homecomings for these guys, which makes it fun. Not that anyone's going to be cheering against the Pacers, though. You got to still pull for the home team, right?
Yeah, it is cool to see all of these former Indiana players with, or Indiana connections. You mentioned we saw Zach Edey in the preseason with Memphis. Last night, Jaden Ivey, you'll see him a couple of times at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. The one guy that, had a phenomenal NBA career is Gordon Hayward. He retired this summer, 14 years out of Brownsburg High School and Butler University. Played in Utah, Boston, Charlotte. Jim, it really is remarkable when you look across NBA rosters and see how many players have a connection to our state, whether they played in college or in high school. I think that's pretty cool.
Absolutely. What are your expectations for tonight's big game? Is OG is still with the Knicks too, right?
Yeah, OG Anunoby.
Oh, there's another connection.
Yeah, there's another connection. Yeah, OG Anunoby. Those were two trades that Toronto made last year to sort of retool what they were trying to do. They traded OG Anunoby to the Knicks, and they traded Pascal Siakam to the Pacers, and both are now long-term agreements with their respective teams. So, it'll be another matchup of OG against Pascal Siakam tomorrow night. But importantly, it's another chance for the Pacers to test themselves on the road in a hostile environment. They know it all too well last year, having played 4 games in the playoffs at Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough one, but that's how you've got to get to them regardless to kind of test yourself. And this is going to certainly be a test for the Pacers to see where they sit really early in the season, especially after New York got waxed by Boston. I'm sure they would like to respond in kind.
Yeah, I mean, the Pacers scheduled to start, Jim, 10 of the first 16 on the road. And you've got a tough back-to-back coming up on Sunday and Monday at home in the home opener against Philadelphia. And then 24 hours later, you're in Orlando against a very good young Magic team. Then you have Boston at home, and then you go on the road to New Orleans and Dallas. So it's a very difficult schedule to start for the Pacers here in 24-25.
Absolutely. And then, the Celtics come in, next week, next Wednesday, those vaunted Boston Celtics come in. We'll see how their 3-pointers are flying, but man, that was a pretty good shooting display. But the game ahead is the one that's most important. New York Knicks, OG Anunoby and Karl Anthony Towns. What a deal that must be.
Yeah, I mean, they have probably one of the top starting lineups in the NBA now when you add Karl Anthony Towns. Now, the question I would have is he going to be comfortable playing the 5? Because when he was at Minnesota, he was playing the 4 with Rudy Gobert. And the one thing right now is New York is really hurt from a depth standpoint. Mitchell Robinson is out, their backup center. Precious Achiuwa is out. So they don't have a lot of depth right now. And I think that's one of the things that Indiana can take advantage of. To a man, Andrew Nembhard said it the best. He said, look, our superpower is our depth. And the Pacers played 12 players last night. Now, the one thing that we'll have to wait and see in the next 24 hours is the injury situation to James Wiseman. He played really well early in the brief glimpse we got of him last night, and then went down with a lower extremity injury. So he'll have an MRI today in New York, hoping for the best. Just not sure what that injury is and if it's going to keep him sidelined long term. But that would be an issue for the Pacers if they lose somebody like James Wiseman.
Absolutely. Chris Denari, I cannot thank you enough as always, my friend, and enjoy your weekend. What are your plans besides basketball game tonight? I know you're in New York.
Yeah, just in New York, game tomorrow, day off today. Just want to get healthy. I've been a little bit under the weather. I think my 3-year-old grandson had a little bit of a cough and a cold, and grandpa caught it. So got through the game last night. Good thing that we don't have a game tonight. I can basically stay in my hotel room and work and not talk. And that's what I plan on doing most of the day.
And to tell you how great of a friend of the show that Chris is, he didn't get in until 2 a.m. and into the hotel and get settled in. You know what that takes. But yet here he is, because he is a true professional and a great friend of the show. We greatly appreciate you, sir.
All right, Jim. As always, thanks. Love doing it every Thursday with you.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate you. Chris Denari, the voice of the Pacers, joining us here from the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios. We've got more coming up, including Josh Bruick from the Hoosier Ticket Project. Back with more, brought to you by Hoosier Hanks East, where tonight You can find Inside Indiana Football with Don Fisher and Coach Kurt Signetti live at 7:05 there on College Ball Road. Back with more from the Hard Truth Studios right after this. We good there, Rob? I guess. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate you, Chris.
All right. Thanks. See you, Jim.
Yeah, I think we missed something. I lost Rob. Oh, shoot. That's what it was. I forgot I have to do this. Rob, I'm just playing this to see
Welcome
what this
back
one
to the
says.
Hard-
All right, just wanted to make sure. Hey, Josh, how are you, sir?
Good, buddy. You?
Cannot complain. Appreciate you joining us today, man.
Absolutely.
Congratulations.
Thanks, man. Sorry, I'm coming in a little hot. Had parent-teacher conferences this morning.
Oh,
Forgot
don't
all
worry,
about 'em.
man. We're dealing with it all every day. It's
Right.
always fun, though. I'm ready to get Kicker in here if you're ready to go.
Whenever you are, my friend.
All right, we're ready to come back. So here we go.
Hard Truth Distilling Company Studios.
Welcome back here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio to the Hard Truth Studios. Jim Coyle with you as always. Joined by Josh Bruick, the CEO of Hoosier Ticket Project, founder of such a great, I don't know if I should call it an organization, but first of all, thanks, Josh, for taking the time to join us.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me, Jim. I appreciate it.
First of all, what do we call the Hoosier Ticket Project, HTP? Is it an organization? Is because I just not that it means a term. I was just
Right.
for something
Yeah, so we're an official nonprofit. Really started off as a passion project amongst a group of fans that obviously have a love for IU, Indiana University, and everything associated with it, and really wanted to try and get others that maybe don't have the means or are less fortunate or for whatever reason haven't been able to experience what IU's about athletically, academically, all that stuff. And so really started as a passion project pre-COVID. Then COVID happens, and we decided to take some time and establish an actual nonprofit where we could accept donations from others and really kind of turn those resources into sending folks to IU sporting events. So fast forward 2.5, 3 years, here we are. So it's been a lot of fun.
Do you have an idea how many? I'm sure you do. I bet you have an answer to this question. How many people have you sent to games total?
Oh, well over. It's got to be a couple thousand at this point. I mean, we had a total at the end of last season. I'm remiss on what it is, but we've already sent a bunch of folks to football games this year, well over a couple hundred. So it's growing by the day. So yeah, it's a lot of fun though, right? I mean, it's a number that consistently grows throughout the athletic season, starts with football into basketball. So we're really, really proud of it.
Well, as you should be. I don't know. I'm sure maybe it's somehow, some form, this exists someplace else, but I'm not aware of that. So it's very unique first and foremost, and very cool because they work with different groups, places like the local Big Brothers and Big Sisters and Boys and Girls Clubs here, and they are taking over 400 people to the Indiana-Washington game this week, a game in which College GameDay is going to be there, so that's even a bigger bonus for these guys, Josh.
Yeah, it's this is our third annual. We call it Weekend at the Rock, third annual, and we had the idea really before the season started. Historically, the first two seasons, the first two times we did this, we did it really early in the year, right? September game where it's an opponent that, a non-conference opponent, might not be a big name opponent. We had the idea just because of the, we've got a great group of donors. We had a big day of giving leading up to the event. Well, we have the Callahan Family Foundation, which is a large donor of ours, and they've been incredible to us. Ramped up their giving this year to allow us to invest into sending 400. This is double the amount of kids we've ever sent, kids and families that we've ever sent, but they allowed us to invest into a Big Ten game this year instead of a non-conference opponent. And little did we know, leading into the season, I mean, we all had hope, right? New regime, new coaching staff, all the excitement that comes with that. But little did we know that fast forward a couple months, we'd be in a situation where the Washington game would be sold out, game day would be there, and we're fortunate enough to be sending 400 deserving fans, youth, families to the game. So we're beyond thrilled about it. We hope that it's an experience for these families and kids that they won't forget. And ultimately, what we're trying to do is not only give them an opportunity, but also help create, lifelong fans, the next generation of IU fans. And whether we can change their lives by becoming a fan or maybe eventually attending IU, we're just thrilled about everything that's led up to this point, and being able to send them to a sold-out Memorial Stadium is really exciting.
Oh, absolutely. And for more information about the Hoosier Ticket Project, just visit HoosierTicketProject.org or just email info@HoosierTicketProject.org. That's pretty easy to remember, people. And also, first-time fans may still request tickets to the Washington game, which is crazy. This thing is sold out, but these are for people that have not been to a game, may not be able to have the means to get to a game, especially families with kids. It's spectacular. You guys still have some tickets left to hand out?
We do. Yep, we're getting a limited amount, right? So we really try to qualify each request at this point and make sure that it's one that matches what we're trying to do. Our mission, obviously, you just mentioned it, is first timers, kids, whether it's not having the financial means or just not having, a ton of different stories. We receive all sorts of stories. So we really try to qualify them and get deserving folks down there. So we do still have limited number of tickets. So if you're interested, like you mentioned, just hit our request tab on our website and we'll be in touch.
Again, that's at HoosierTicketProject.org, HoosierTicketProject.org/request if you want to get specific. And what an apropos time, because I can't even get into the craziness that is Indiana football right now, because that may lead us down a road that I can't come back from for a while in a good way, because there's a lot to talk about, which actually it's been great, because normally we're scrambling for basketball content about this time of year, and that is no longer the case. Basketball is definitely on the back burner for me personally. I love what's going on here. I'm not going to say I expected, College GameDay to be here this weekend and all that's going on in that regard. I did have confidence that this team was going to surprise a lot of people. I expected them to start 6-0 and then probably 8-0. But we're going much deeper than that, and being around the program enough that it was palpable that a change had taken place, and listening to Kurt Signetti and seeing what he does, how he does it, his coaching staff, it has been, I've yet to have someone come to me, because I'm like, I do not know this has to be in the portal era, so it's not that long, but of a change, a turnaround in a program in the history of football. Of course, prior to the portal, you can't really count that. We wouldn't be having these conversations quite with the fervor we are now, had this not been in the portal era. he couldn't turn it over quite that fast. I think that he would have still turned it over. But the fact that he's been able to do it this quick is just, it's turned everybody's life upside down, but in a positive way. Again, selling out Memorial Stadium 4 games in a row. I don't think that's ever happened.
It's, and I think I can speak to years past, right? We're entering the back end of the Big Ten season and we're drowning in ticket donations and to a point where we're struggling to find enough homes for them when we're working our butts off to make sure we get as many folks as we can. But season ticket holders are they're making the decision not to attend the games because of the season going south or whatever reason. And this year is a true testament when you look at, the amount of donations we're getting. And I love to see it, right? We invested in our Washington tickets well before the month of October. So we were sitting good there, but we're in a position now where if you want a ticket, you've got to get it on a secondhand market and you're paying, 3-4 times face value. And we're not getting as many donations from season ticket holders, and understandably so, right? It's an exciting problem to have. It's a good problem to have. And the other side of it is we're sending 400 folks. How do we help them out to park, right? It's parking around the stadium is challenging as well. But again, these are all good problems to have. We're excited because the environment they're going to be able to experience is one that I think is going to, these are core memories for these kids, right? They're going to remember going to a sold out Memorial Stadium. They're going to end up eventually as adults wanting to take their kids to experience the same. And that's what this is all about for us. But the difference between what we're seeing this year compared to the last couple seasons of our existence is night and day. We are, we're having to ask for tickets to try to fill requests instead of drowning in ticket donations and trying to find homes for them. So really, really exciting times to be an IU football fan.
Absolutely. And you've got to give a shout out to all of your ticket donors, first of all, that they find the goodness in their heart to do that instead of giving it or
100%.
selling them. And they could do that easily,
100%.
especially right now. You think it's hard to sell an Indiana football ticket today? I don't think so, people. And so, yeah, the parking is an issue, but that's a great problem to have. You may have to get a bus. Just bring a bus in from someplace and drop them all off. Just kidding, but
and you make a good point, though, Jim. You make a good point. I do want to thank our donors are incredible, right? There are, and you mentioned it. I mentioned parking. We still get parking passes, and when you go on to StubHub or SeatGeek and look at the prices of parking passes,
$300, man,
easily could be selling those. So our donors are incredible. Not only the Callahan Family Foundation, but our continuous ticket donors who, without even thinking twice, come to us with those donations. We try to share the stories, share the photos, but incredible group of donors. I've got an incredible team that helps me. Allie, who Sarah, who has been really she's made this event, happen from a boots on the ground standpoint down in Bloomington with her just a couple days ago. And we're packing bags and packing tickets and dropping them off in Bloomington. And then Jason behind the scenes. We've just got a great team who makes this thing tick. It's not just myself, who's sometimes the face of the organization. We've got a lot of great volunteers who make this happen. So combination of great donors and great volunteers, and here we are.
Well, yeah, it takes a group to do everything and do it right. And shout out to Allie for helping make this happen. Thank you, Allie. She's a listener, everyday listener. We appreciate you tremendously. But yeah, it's fun to see this happen, especially now. If they've never been to a game and they're going to these games, they have no idea what most Indiana fans have had to endure with Indiana football. Right. And so it's crazy to see, but this atmosphere that's going to be this Saturday is going to just be, there's no other way to say, but just off the chain. There's never been an atmosphere like there's going to be this Saturday. You've got College GameDay. You've got the 1979 bowl winning team being honored, of which Lee Corso was the coach of. I'm sure that he'll be out there with them being honored. You've got Pat McAfee, Nick Saban. My big question is, where the hell are they going to put the kick for Pat McAfee, the contest? Well, I don't know, because they're putting the stage in the same place as the Fox Big Noon kickoff was. Not a lot of flat grass anywhere for that kick.
It's true. They have moved now. So we've got and I'm glad you mentioned that, because we've got a tailgate tent. We had one last week, or I had one in the general same area. It was over there by B-Town Boulevard, which was kind of in the same area as Big Noon Kickoff, but they are moving us over to 17th and Woodlawn, as well as B-Town Boulevard, to give all that real estate to Game Day. So they are clearing quite a bit of that real estate over there. It looks like it's going to have a much larger footprint than Big Noon Kickoff. But if anybody's interested in coming to see, I know Sarah and I will be there. Probably have a couple more volunteers over on the corner of 17th and Woodlawn. We'll be there kind of hanging out. Obviously for our recipients that are attending the game and needing assistance, but also we invite our donors too to swing by and see us as well. We'll be over there and they can come say hi and learn more about us and talk to us. So 17th and Woodlawn, we'll have a tent over there on Saturday morning leading up to game day. So we'd love to say hi to anybody that's in the area and has time to stop by.
Yeah, please do that, people, if you get the opportunity. And more importantly, if you are a season ticket holder and you find yourself in a position of not being able to attend a game, well, now you know exactly what you should do with those tickets. Do not sell them. Give them to the Hoosier Ticket Project so they continue their great philanthropy with bringing people to these games. And then you follow this up. Football is going to be not only an incredible lead into basketball. Basketball is going to have a hard deal to follow after what is going on right now, because we don't know where this is going to end. I think that this team is going to wind up in the college football playoffs. I truly do. I think that they're at worst they go 11-1, but I'm not even sold now that they cannot go into Columbus and beat Ohio State. They have a top 10 defense and they have a top 1 offense. That's a great combination to have. And I think they have I think they're better on both sides of the ball than Ohio State. And I know that that's going to sound crazy to people, but I'm just going by stats and what I've seen so far. But we'll see how that works out. But this week, the game against Washington, that should be a fun game. You've got Taven Jackson going in at quarterback. I don't think that there's a lot of drop off here because Indiana's offense is so multifaceted and has so many dimensions to it that that's why they've been hard to stop. But I think this is going to be another big win for the Hoosiers.
Yeah. I mean, I've been, experiencing last week and everything that's transpired this season, and being an IU football fan for I've been going to games for 25 years and have seen a lot of highs and even more lows, I guess you could say. There's been I think what we've seen this year and what's yet to come this year, I think a lot of it's going to be icing on the cake, right? I mean, we've seen things this year I've never seen in my fandom, right? Just what we've been able to do outside of, maybe the COVID year where fans weren't even allowed in the stadium. So this has been really, really rewarding for myself, a lot of the people I know that are IU football fans. It's just, I think we're just taking it a week at a time. And, I think it's just where we're at, right? I think, and what Coach Signetti, comes in with the confidence he's come in with, everything just feels different. It feels different when you're down there. It feels different. The vibe down there, the attitude at the game, hearing him talk, it just feels like something I've never experienced with Indiana football. And it not only does the team feel confident, but it also gives you confidence as a fan that like this, we've got a chance every week. And not only do we have a chance, I feel good about winning every week, like you said, Jim. So just really, really exciting. And just, obviously being associated with the project, I'm just excited too, because it creates such a tremendous experience for our ticket recipients. Not only myself as a fan getting to go, but also getting to send a bunch of people and not sending them a game where it's, a blowout loss or something like that. These are fun, memorable experiences for our recipients. So that's really, really rewarding for us as volunteers in the project.
We don't have a lot of time left, but how did this idea come to be? I mean, it's a great thing, no question. But somebody had to think of that. I'm assuming it was you.
It was, but it took a village, it took a team, it took all of the goodwill of Hoosier Nation. And you go back to 2018, I want to say it was Archie Miller was the head coach. Indiana had a rough season. Indiana had a rough, I want to say it was either year 1 or 2 of his tenure. They had a rough season and they made the NIT. And with that, they were allotted 2 or 3 NIT home games. And Assembly Hall was general admission, $15 tickets. And I had the idea on Twitter at the time to just throw it out there that what better way to, obviously we know it's tough to go to games at Assembly Hall, right? A lot of it's taken up by season tickets. You're not just going to buy tickets and go unless it's on the secondhand market. So this was an opportunity to buy some tickets as a regular Joe at $15 a piece and throw it out there. Hey, if you've never been, I'll send your family, right? So $15 tickets, you can send a family of 4, for $60. And, it was just kind of my way of giving back. And a bunch of people just kind of jumped on board and like, I want to do the same thing. I want to do the same thing. I want to do the same thing. So, through that rough season, it stunk as a fan, but the rewarding part at the end was, and we've got a couple home games where we can send a bunch of people that have never been able to go. And it just kind of grew off of that, right? We went into a football season where kind of the same thing was happening. We'd get some tickets from season ticket holders. We'd buy some and send some folks. And then Jason, our COO, came to me and he was the one who kind of had the idea of turning this into a nonprofit, right? And we've had a lot of help along the way. We established a nonprofit. Myself, Jason, Amanda started the org back in the day. And since then, we've grown to what it is today. We've got some new volunteers, some new faces, but the mission remains the same. We were a little bit idle through COVID, obviously, but then once that was over, it ramped up. And now with the good teams that we have, it's grown into what it is today. And now we're sending 400 kids.
That's amazing. And congratulations again.
Thank you.
Folks, if you you still might have a shot at getting a ticket if you meet the criteria. Just reach out to HoosierTicketProject.org/request, or just go to HoosierTicketProject.org and they will get you taken care of. Josh, I cannot thank you enough, man, for taking the time to be on with us today. And hopefully we'll see you out there on Saturday. It is going to be an absolutely spectacular, fun day for all Hoosier fans.
Thanks, Jim. I appreciate the time, and go Hoosiers.
You betcha. Josh Bruick joining us from the Hoosier Ticket Project, and grateful to have him on joining us here today. We've got no more for you. That is going to wrap up everything for us here today from the Hard Truth Studios. We're back tomorrow to do this again, though, as we will preview everything that's going on this weekend. We'll talk some IU basketball with Todd Leary. Zach Osterman, the IU insider from the Indy Star, will be with us. Matt Taylor, the voice of the Colts, as well as Jeffrey the Greek. So we've got an action-packed full one again tomorrow, and looking forward to all of it. Cannot thank each and every one of you enough today. Make sure, if you're not listening on radio, you go to our YouTube channel, and which you already are there. Hit the subscribe button, notifications toggle, and the like button if you don't mind. We would that helps us a ton. But shout out to everybody around. And for those of you that are coming down for the game, it's going to be a fun one. It's going to be a lot of traffic. The parking is going to be tight. So you might want to get there early. But that's going to wrap it up from the Hard Truth Distilling Company Studios. Again, big thanks to Rob, the producer, for keeping us between the white lines. And everybody on the dais today, Coach Shannon, Griffith, Bob Kravitz, Chris Denari, and Josh Bruick. Until tomorrow, I am Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.